Third, council members present, Jam Attorney, myself, Kevin Fuller, and Jonathan Smith is absent. Please stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Good evening. Have any citizens' concerns? I don't believe so. Approval of prior month's minutes. Anyone?
I recommend that they be approved.
Likewise, I'll move on to the sewer credits tabulation.
We would ask that that be tabled to our next meeting since Ms. Gossi is under the weather and she's the one who calculates those and brings those and explains those.
Okay.
So we'll ask her to do it at the April meeting.
Very well. Yeah, just, and I'll have to reach out to her too. I know then that was not only myself. I know we continue to ask for the justification between two. Just hopefully keep that in mind and I'll make sure she knows that too for, to be prepared with some of the justification for that month's meeting. So thank you. I'm concerned that we're potentially getting behind. If we really are, I guess in my mind I want to stop the bleeding on that project, right? Or on those tap fees, where we lose the money. So hopefully we can move quickly.
That's something different. That's something different.
Sewer credit tabulation is for when people have leaks in their home and they can demonstrate to us, or we can demonstrate with a dye test that it didn't go into our sewer system, it went into the stormwater system. For instance, if a valve outside your home breaks, then we give a sewer credit. The code does not allow us to give credit for the water bill, but we give a sewer credit when they can demonstrate that the excess went into the stormwater and not the sewer system.
Okay.
So that's something different that Alice
Yeah, I just
tabulates
had
for
this
us.
in my hand. I was looking at that, so sorry.
Nope, that's okay.
Thank you. And she always knows why, too. I was like, oh, well, she always explains why those are, so.
Great. All right. So then we have the water and sewer miscellaneous fees.
So that's
what's buzzing around in my head because okay.
They sound very similar.
And again, Alice is not here, but you have before you the recommendation from staff. And the anything different with the ordinances is that I asked Kate for ease of reading. The first one, the one with the water tap charges, was nicely laid out, that it showed the water tap size, then it had inside, outside. But then when you got to the other two ordinances, it was kind of all over the map and hard to read, so I asked her to put it in the same format.
Okay.
So it's still our same recommendation, but I think it's easier to read and cleans up the code a little bit. So that would be ordinance
12 and 13.
12 and 13.
And in fairness, I'm improved with this because
Okay.
that's what they're for.
So current ordinance looks like this, and there's several of these charts, and then we would look to clean it up into one chart that had inside, outside, instead of multiple different charts that do the same thing.
Okay. All right.
And obviously, you guys are still chewing through this, but you did ask for justification, I think both yourself, Councilman Fuller, and Councilman Smith, who is not present at this time. So what we did is we had a little chat session, if you will. Included Alice spearheading our discussion, Kate, myself, and Mr. Coma. And we put together, I'll hand this off to you, just why not, Mr. Weber? Some reasons why. Alice spearheaded many of these, and she's obviously not here to talk about them. I know that there's not any hurry or rush in which to move this forward to council until your group is satisfied. So if you want to kick this formally to your next April meeting for discussion, for further discussion, that's perfectly fine. But I think the two key points for me is if you look down this list and you get to any outstanding debt, which currently in the water and sewer funds is about $16 million. That is backed by the full faith and credit of the city's general fund, i.e. income tax, not the utility funds. So the taxpayers are backing that debt. And then the last bullet point is even more important in my mind, because I came from an entity where we would have, and Matt was there at the time, came from an entity where we hired a third party to come in and do what's called indirect cost allocation plan. And what that cost allocation plan does is it takes the services that your general fund provides, i.e. funded by taxpayers, income tax, and calculates the value of those services to funds that are business type funds, such as our utility fund, our water and sewer fund. So currently, we don't have a cost allocation plan. So all of my time, Kate's time, IT's time, HR's time, city engineer's time, finance's time, is all funded by the general fund by income tax, but not charged back to that utility fund. So the general fund is subsidizing these utility funds. Those to me are the two most important things. Alice can speak more to capacity of the system, how the system was originally paid for by the 1 square mile, which was all within the city. And they made an investment, and by charging these outside fees, that could be looked at as our return on that investment, since they did not contribute to the initial infrastructure that's in the ground. But we can certainly have Alice speak more to these at your next meeting. But I think the two most important points to me is the taxpayers of the city of Perrysburg are backing that general fund debt, or that outstanding debts, because it's the general fund backing that, as well as the general fund is subsidizing services to that fund through their income taxes. And could we charge them back? Yes, but we would need a cost allocation plan to do that.
Yeah, that'd be.
And it may not be something that's a bad idea to do, but it's something that we do have to engage. It's a specialty group that does it. It's not necessarily people put together water sewer rates. Because what they do is they look at a whole host of things, from the number of hires, the number of fires, the number of disciplines, grievances, number of purchase orders issued, the number of checks issued, all for that department and for the city as a whole. And then they weigh them against the whole versus their portion of it, and come up with a cost allocation plan to cost out my time, Kate's time, to charge it back to that fund.
Okay.
It's not
That
something.
sounds even kind
It's
of
not
like a
something we
headache,
could
and
do
it's
with her internally.
something more, that would be more work in the long run, I think, I don't know, just.
But there are many entities that do that. I think the city of Bowling Green does that, but they have more utility funds than we have, because they're running a water plant, a wastewater treatment plant, and a power plant. So they do utilize general fund resources. And they also contribute income tax directly from the general fund to their utility funds, and that's by charter, I believe. So they have an inside city rate and an outside city rate for these very same fees.
Okay. All right. Yeah, can we get a copy of this or email that
Yes,
we
I
got
can,
that
yes.
Smith can?
I can email it to the whole committee.
That'd be great, thank you.
That way Councilman Smith also has it.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, I guess again, that was my biggest fear, is that we're somehow penalizing, it. I guess penalizing the township residents that may in due time be residents of the city, right? I guess that was,
depending on where they live.
yeah, right.
We can't force annex on the east side of State Route 75.
Okay.
It was a 100-year agreement.
Yeah, thank you for sending that too, because I got the opportunity to read
That's
through
an
that
exciting-
entire
exciting
thing.
read.
Very
Very exciting. But Kate, so we know a good question.
We sent this to city council. It had a first reading.
I forgot to put it on the council agenda for the second reading. So we're talking about it here now, which is fine. There's nothing wrong about talking about it, but it's technically already at city council.
Yep.
So one of two procedures can happen. It can have a second reading, and this conversation can just take place at city council, and there's nothing wrong with that procedurally, if that's where you guys are. Or I can put on the agenda, Councilman Fuller, for you to send it back to this committee on Tuesday to review, arguing that we need to go discuss the fees more, and we want it to go back to committee.
Okay.
Either of
I'd like to
those
keep
work.
it moving forward again. I think I guess the only reluctancy to bring it back is, again, we're taking a step back where we might be, again, we're bleeding on those operations, right? I mean,
Correct.
Well, and it's coming that time of year when we perform more of those.
So
Yeah.
I'm happy to put it on the agenda as a second reading.
please, let's do that.
Okay.
And then,
I just wanted to make sure we were on the same page.
yeah, let's do that. And since it's already been a council too, maybe if we could just get this list.
I'll give it to all.
Email, we might as well send it to
I'll email it to all of council,
That'd be
mention
great.
it, provided it at the utilities committee tonight.
Okay.
Well, and one of the reasons why I had no problem with charging the different fees is because I knew, I couldn't articulate it, but I knew we were picking up costs that they weren't paying.
Okay. Anything, other questions on that?
I don't think so. You know, I just, again, it's just a warranted, again, is it warranted? And then are we doing it? I'm trusting you because, you know, you are heavily involved in those. I don't really know what's entailed in this process. I'm trusting, you know, the fees that have, you set up here are justified, right? So I think the evidence you give me here, I mean, there's no reason, again, bring it back, right?
So I support that completely.
All right.
I will make
Those.
sure that all the council has this, and I'll ask Ms. Gotsi to attend the next council meeting.
Okay,
Because she'll be able to explain many of these other ones way better than I can.
that's great. So we don't really need to take action on this?
No, because it's already
It's
at
already
city
there,
council.
right? Okay.
This is just sort of informative. We're gonna add this for its second reading to city council, and here's some extra information for you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Sorry I screwed up the last council.
All right. No one looked at me and said, why aren't you reading that? So.
I don't think anyone remembered.
What do we have next here?
And I thought it was good to have it come here because you asked for it.
Yeah, you know, and I guess that was the whole idea to bring forth the councils, like I felt that collective wisdom, right? We would be able to get the answer.
Right,
At that
exactly.
level and continue to move forward with it,
No,
so.
I agree with you.
We have other business we would like to add to the agenda,
Yes,
please.
we have as far as other business.
We are requesting to purchase polymer for the wastewater treatment plant. The lowest bidder of the two companies that bid was Paladine. You'll notice on your bid tabulation, it kind of looks like it's $12,000 for the year. That's not remotely correct. That is what it would be for purchasing 1 barrel a month. This is really a per barrel purchase bid. So we're asking for a resolution of $50,000 to allow us to purchase the polymer we will need to purchase for the course of the year. Since we put in the new press at the wastewater treatment plant, the polymer that we use is much denser than the polymer that we used previously, and therefore the cost of polymer went up significantly for the city of Perrysburg. And we have to use the denser polymer because of the new press.
Tidewater's a local company, isn't it?
They have been the ones providing us polymer. They came in lowest, but they also were our past provider of polymer.
And I mean, this is one of those things necessary to,
Yes.
right? I
Because
mean,
what the polymer does is the polymer will bind solids together into a larger solid, so it drops out of the stream, and then it's collected and ends up over on the drawing pads. Such elegant language. That's pretty much.
Out of curiosity, when was this bid?
When was this bid? This was bid on March 8th.
Oh, never mind.
And so 60 days would be May 8th. And with city council on the 5th, 30 days from city council would be May 5th approximately, give or take a day. And that May 5th to May 8th isn't really enough time to ensure that the agreement gets signed properly. So that's why we're asking for an emergency.
I was curious because it includes freight.
yeah.
Freight probably is.
Well, I'd like to move, let's forward to city council then. Any objections to that?
Sounds good to me.
Move that forward as well.
Thank you.
Any other business?
None from administration.
No.
I have a special request. I don't know, and I'm sure it could be accommodated. I don't know if many people requested, but I would like to get a tour of the wastewater treatment.
I would too.
I've been asking for 2 years.
Yeah, me too.
Now that COVID is essentially over,
That's,
we could certainly arrange that with him.
because Mark and I have been bugging him for 2 years, and because of COVID, we couldn't.
Okay, great. Yeah, I would like to
And now's a
just
good
kind
time
of see
before-
what goes
before it
on
gets
down
warm.
there.
Before it gets sticky.
Yes.
Before it gets warm.
Go down,
Yeah,
Earthy.
that's-
says the guy who's in charge of the whole. The lawyer thinks it's sticky.
Yeah,
But we will, we'll ask Nikki to help us arrange that. Maybe I'll send out an email with your calendar to see if we can get a date when you're all available.
okay.
Because Mark and I have been bugging Alice for 2 years. to go.
Yeah, now that we're open back up, that will be easy to accommodate.
Thank you for mentioning that.
That's all I have.
I don't have anything else.
I did have one thing I wanted to mention, and since Alice is not here, I will mention it on her behalf. Alice has turned in her resignation. She's going to retire this September, for real, I guess.
For real?
So we're actually out on the market right now looking for a new utilities director. So that's out there, and we have it advertised. And once that's filled, depending on who gets that position, we may need to backfill a deputy director of public utilities, and we will do that as well. But we will have a period of time where our hope and dreams are that we have a period of time where there's the current director, there is a new director coming in, and there's overlap with a deputy director in some way, shape, or form. We anticipate having 3 people there for some amount of time so that there's a good transition.
That was one thing I know why they did it, but I never understood. For upper management level ODOT, they had to wait until the person left. And you're losing all that institutional knowledge without it being passed on.
That used to be the case when I got here, but we slowly have started shifting that. And they were doing it before because of the way they had budgeted. But in my mind, it's kind of penny wise, pound foolish to not try and get somebody in the queue as soon as possible.
Yeah, because all the institutional knowledge they could pass
What
on.
they used to
Yeah.
do is, they used to wait until not just that the person left, but whatever that person's payout was for vacation, comp, sick, they would wait that amount of time before hiring somebody. So it would
Maybe
take
quite a lot.
6-7 months to get people hired in a senior level position.
The department came from the county.
Anyways.
But that's all administration is.
Thank you.
Yeah,
That's, all I have a motion to adjourn, or?
a second.
All right,